Good afternoon. The noise you hear behind me is the expressway. Yes, it is. I'm sitting at the rest area. I've got about an hour and something between our district fellowship and we got out of church. And so there's a difference of an hour between the time, Georgia, Alabama. And so I had a few moments to just sit and think on the goodness of Jesus. I tell you, at Walking by Faith Church of God in Christ, Heflin, Alabama, we had a service this morning. Pastor Allen Wiley Cater Jr. truly brought a word from the Lord. If you give up after that message, shame on you. I like the sign over there that said, "Welcome to Georgia." Yes. It's a beautiful ride from where I live at in Mapleton to Heflin, Alabama. And I was thinking this morning as I was driving, and I always get a chance to listen to Bishop J. Drew Sheard, Emmanuel Temple, Church of God in Christ in Michigan. And I was listening this morning to another wonderful message with so many words in the Lord going forth. I know you can still give up, but if you're listening to the word, you shouldn't be thinking about giving up. And I was thinking about women, single women, married women, and those women that say they sanctified, they're in the church, they know nothing, they ain't been through anything. I was thinking about them. I was thinking about lots of cases that I have had the privilege to work with one of the highest profile judges in the nation. And I oftentimes ask God, why me? I was a pretty banker. I worked for money. I was a branch manager of a bank. But now I'm really, and I want you to get this, I'm living in the glory of God, feeling mighty happy, feeling mighty fine. Somebody's been praying for me this week. I know that because of how I feel. When you're told that you ain't living for Christ, when you're called that B word, when you're told you don't know nothing, when you're told you're not holy, I don't believe in your God. Those are some powerful words to swallow. And in the year of 2023, the people that you mostly help are the ones that will lash out. As I was driving from Georgia to Heflin, Alabama, listening to Bishop Sheard broadcast or podcast, I was thinking about the goodness of Jesus as a woman. I'm a woman. I'm straight up a woman. I'm not a lesbian. I'm not a gay. I'm not a bisexual. I'm straight up a mother. I am straight up holy. And I was thinking about women mostly. I was thinking about children in families. And I was thinking about I had to drive South Georgia. And it's something when I drive, I did so much work down in South Georgia. It's not funny. It's not funny. When I tell you civil rights, and I would have died for civil rights, you better believe me. hmm You better believe me. I would have died for civil rights. On October the 12th, 1983, when every news station in the state of Georgia covered my home being shot into, our home, I literally would have died for the civil rights. I believe in the rights of people. I believe in being an example, a mentor for the people. As Pastor Cater preached this morning, first, as I heard the message coming from Mableton to Heflin, Alabama, and I think he's a bishop that spoke this morning at Bishop Sheard's church, that motivated me. I was excited. And when I heard the message from my son this morning, Pastor Cater, that motivated me again. How we talk to people, how we pull people into the church, our jobs, our ministry. He came out of Luke, the 14th chapter. Oh my God, did he preach? But as I drove to South Georgia for a day, I'm forever thinking about civil rights situations. The young lady that threw her babies, twin babies, off of the bridge in 1996. The antifreeze case. Did you know that people give up and will cook their babies, put them in ovens? And I was thinking about sometimes, and I gotta prove this to you though. Sometimes people think I'm doing it to help my child to not go through this sin-cursed world. It's still wrong to take a person's life, even down to those innocent children, innocent babies. It's wrong. But I was led, since I got the minute between going to another church, I got to go to the district meeting in Tallapoosa. And I'm just 16 miles from there. So I decided to come to the park or the rest area and send you a message to don't give up. A lot of times we hear people say don't give up, and the average person think they know nothing. It's their job, being in church, to say don't give up. It's their duty to say don't give up. That's what we say. We say that it's their job to do that as evangelists and ministers. But today I want to tell you from the mouth of a mother. I was a single woman, then became a wife, then became a mother. I am a divorced woman. I am a divorced woman. I've had to work sometime 4 jobs to make one income. And to that woman that's thinking about giving up, I have a message for you. My mother, Thelma Ward, used to say, never lose your mind. Don't ever give up your mind. This could be to single men too. Okay, you have just as many men raising families as you have women nowadays. Single men are raising the brotherhood. And this ain't about black and white, although I did a lot of civil rights work. This is about holding on to your mind. The only way you can do it is in Christ Jesus. If those of us tell you a story, God told me one time, he said, I love you. He was 26 years old. I had to be 50. I want you to have my babies. I told him, you got to be a nut. I would bring my son up here who's 26 too and have him to beat you up. Don't you ever disrespect me. I had to go in that store. Don't you ever disrespect me like that. Okay, I don't want your babies. I don't want you. I'm not a diva. I'm not a sugar mama. But I'm a grandma. I'm a great grandma. And I'm thankful that God didn't let me give up. I was thinking about some of my struggles. To you women, to you men that think that you got to take the easy way out. I was thinking about, and I don't know why I started with Memphis. When I used to go to Memphis, it was during the time that I had gone through a divorce or was going through a divorce. My oldest son was a CDL truck driver. Maybe that's why God gave it to me here at this rest area. He was driving doubles and triples. Sometimes you need to hear the other woman that came out so you can know you can come out. Elder Harden would send me to get the reports, and we would go up. I would go to Memphis to the meetings. And one or two times, he was driving a UPS route coming out of Georgia, going to Memphis. And that was my route to get to the national meeting. I would ride that truck. I would ride with him. Almost scared me to death. But when you're pulling a double or a triple and you got 3 loads of trucks on the back of your truck, I believe that God blessed my son because he took care of me, taking me to Memphis, trying to get me to the church meetings. When we had a little, he took his mother. He would put me in that truck. He taught me at the rest areas and at the Love gas stations, at the Pilot gas stations. that you can literally pay them to take showers and set up shower times at those places. I used to go down to Augusta. I'm still an insurance agent. I used to have to travel the road off $450 a month. That was my income from my main job. 10 days a month, $450. God gave me a favor up and down the highways. When I went into Thompson, Georgia, I would set up insurance meetings, or the company would, and I would have to travel those back roads. I was of age when I learned that from Athens, I could go all the way over to Livonia, Georgia on them back roads. The boys said, the boys didn't like me traveling, but I had to make a living for my children. Luke 14 and 11 came to me as my son preached this morning. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Those who humble themselves. It's a lot of things we can do on that road. I have met some of the most wealthiest folks that you wouldn't imagine. I could have been in beds. I could have had sugar daddies. No, they would have had a sugar mama, because normally when they want you to bring money in to them. Okay, that's the name of the game. Doctors, lawyers. It's so funny to me. For years when I would go into the courtroom, I worked Cobb County, but I had worked Fulton County also under adult probation. And anybody that they introduced me to, you pretty much can't lose me. Because somewhere I do my homework. I had to know what was around me and who was around me. Okay, because I traveled so much, I had to work. Women, you don't have to lower your standards. You can make it if you want to and if you try. And what made me think about this is folks will call you holier than thou. They'll call you stuck up. They'll call you on a high horse, but they'll call you whorish when you go sleeping around. Oh yes, Lord, I praise my God that I never lowered my standards. My boys can never say I brought anything around them. Nothing. Number one, I wasn't going to let nobody else raise my ex-husband's boys, because he did a fine job with his children. And but then I had a ladder. I had a road to walk. And in that road, I had to uphold the standard. I didn't bring everything around my children. My younger son, while I'm on Alan right now, Alan was going to run away from home when he was a young boy, maybe about 12, 13. He wanted to go live in the projects with them. And Jesus knew that I forbid it. And he said he wanted to go. Okay, but I was a mother to all of the boys, and they wanted to come live with us. They wanted to live in my house. They thought my boys was rich. It's how you carry yourself. in front of people, even going through. Even going through. You don't have to lower your standards, women. Well, how does she know? I'm a living testimony. I'm not ashamed to talk about me. I'm not ashamed to talk about God would not let me give up. I was thinking about it yesterday on women that I've been in cases around that did give up. That put their children in stoves. I was thinking about up in Walker County, this man that molested a 6 or 7 month old baby and threw him in the river. I was thinking about the ones that put her children in the stove. I was thinking about, and that really came to my heart, the one that threw her children, her twins, off of the bridge in Macon, Georgia. I was heavy civil rights then. I was heavy civil rights with most of them cases. But even working civil rights, I never wanted to give up. I never could lose my own mind. I didn't care what money I didn't have. I didn't care how many jobs I had to work. I didn't need no sugar daddy. I didn't need uh, 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 I didn't need to lower my standards. And that's why I wanted to do this video. I've had to minister in 2023 to men and women who wanted to give up. It is difficult for me to give up, but I've been there to the door. I told you how I used to ride them trucks with my son. I wanted to go to the meeting, but I didn't have the money. And what was so odd, when we got to Memphis, I didn't have the money to stay in the hotels either. So but you live on them trucks. I was supposed to buy trucks. And my son told me, "Ma, you won't drive no truck. You're not going to drive a tractor trailer." I really have wanted to. He said, "Ma, God gave that to me to take care of you with." And my son has driven all over this world. All over this world. And I learned it on them trucks. I like sitting just watching them, how they, and maybe one day he and I'll team up. And he has a great wife, we can team up. And it's a number of us that can team up. It is good money. My point is, you can make it if you try. Never lose your standards. I never lived with a person. I never had a live-in man. I was going to make it if the Lord be my helper. God had to help me. I remember one time, if I got mad, I wouldn't eat at the courthouse. I would, and Judge knew it. If they would laugh at me about giving me a free meal, and when the bailiffs take the jurors to lunch, we eat free. And don't let them come in the courtroom and talk about, well, they're getting a bus meal. They're getting a free meal. By Wednesday, I would stop eating. I wouldn't eat it. I told Judge one time, my dad said, if you eat some saltine crackers and drink some water, it'll swell up in your stomach. and fill you up. Peanut butter and saltine crackers will do that, y'all. It will fill you up. Now to run your sugar up too, but it will fill you up. And he would say, "Y'all know she mad. Better get her talking." Okay, I just couldn't take it. Somebody thinking I needed something from them, and I'm in the subject. For everyone who exalts himself, will be humbled. God has a way of humbling you. I have to say, my first appreciation was given to me by the judge and the people that I worked with. They raised money for me. Now, I cried that day. Okay, I had never had anyone to give something to me like that. He bought my habits, my uniforms to do evangelistical work, paid lock, stock, and barrel every dime for it. God has a way of not letting us fall down. Yes, He does. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled. A part of me was pride. A lot of me was pride. Couldn't think of you thinking you'd give me something. I needed to work for it. The second part of this message said, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. I was thinking on so many things that occurred. One time I had become a bailiff in the courtroom, and I didn't have a place to live. I didn't have a place to live, and on Fairburn Road in Douglasville, there's a Quality Inn and a Comfort Inn across the street. I had a car, and I was working as the treasurer of. I was the last official treasurer of record for Lithia Springs, Georgia. hmm I was the treasurer of record, running payroll, running everything. I didn't have to steal. God always made a way out of no way. But I was also still working in the courtroom as a bailiff. I was working 2 jobs. I was working 3 jobs because I was an insurance agent at that time, trying to make one income. But my mom said, never give up on your mind. Some woman that I'm talking to that's been ministering to, some man that I've been ministering to just in the last month. Make sure you listen to this video. I didn't need a crutch. I didn't need somebody to give me a crutch. I needed to work out my own soul salvation. I'm not. I think some people think a little bit that I'm hard. I'm not hard. I just don't believe in giving up. I don't believe in giving up. I don't. I won't allow my boys to give up. If you fall, get up. 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 Don't bring the excuses to me. Get up. I was working on a job. I was working at the courthouse as a bailiff. I slept in my car on Fairburn Road over in that parking lot. The next day, I worked a case with Judge as his bailiff. The man was fighting the wife, and he threw hot water on her, and he used a machete to try to kill her. And I had slept in my car that night. Need I say I had nightmares? But that morning, going to the courthouse, I had to take a bath in the BP gas station on Page Street, right there at 41 and Page. It was a little bit of nasty sink. I had to dress and I had to take a bath there in that gas station. And I went on to the courthouse. Nobody never knew what happened. Nobody knew what I had to do. I had to do what I had to do. But giving up wasn't a part of to do what you have to do. When I walked into that courtroom, I opened the judge's door. I set the courtroom up. I opened that courtroom, and I remember Ray was my trainer. And for some reason, they said, "Boy, you are awesome today." If they only knew where my mind had been and how low that state of mind had been in. But giving up wasn't an option. He said, "You did a perfect job." He said, "You were awesome." Now I had to go out and walk around the courtroom about 7 times, around the courthouse for God to get my mind together. Never slept in my car again. God made a way out of no way. God opened doors that no man could close. Giving up wasn't an option. And using a crutch to get up wasn't an option. Not for me. What is something about a boy and mama? What my boys would see is they had to see a mom that wouldn't give up, a mom that wouldn't throw the towels in. I've been into many of the 49 prisons in Georgia. And one of the stories that I've heard, even working court system, are young men who said they stole because they couldn't see their mothers abused and their mothers going through. I made up in my mind, I did, that my boys would not be a part of my struggle seeing it. They were going to see me standing. They were going to see me making it. I tell you once, I almost lost it. In 98, 88, I went through a court battle, another civil rights battle. And sometimes women, you can be losing it and not knowing that you're losing it. My sister, Miriam Culver, my sister, Suzanne Henry. My mother had passed at that time. They took me to Philadelphia. I needed a mind break. And sometimes I do that, like I'm doing a mind break out here. Sometimes I get in my car and I just go get that mind break. And then I can come back and I can go on for another 6 months. And they took me. And my sister said, "You didn't know how low you were." And we saw it. Women don't see folks going through and see people, especially another woman, struggling and not tell them how to get up. Now, you can't make them listen. All you can do is tell them. All you can do is share. Don't ever think that I couldn't have been the other woman in the bed. Don't ever think that I couldn't have been the other woman. It was only God's grace and mercy. Yeah, I had more men to tell me, Don't party with nobody, Mary. God put more protectors around me than you would have ever known. God did it. God did it. I didn't have to take another woman's stuff. I didn't have to take another set of children's stuff. God helped me. I didn't have to stoop. I didn't have to lower my standards. And when you don't lower the standards, people will think that you're hard-hearted. People will think that you're mean. People will think, but God's grace is sufficient. God's grace is sufficient. After I took that bath, and I didn't go in the courtroom smelling. I went in the courtroom, you would have thought nothing had occurred. You never would have gave a thought that I had dressed in a gas station on 41 Highway. Never would have thought it. But God, the Lord did it. And then my son, Xenophon. I came out of banking. No, I was not fired out of banking. I came out of banking and went back to school. And my son, Xenophon, is the cause of me being an insurance agent. He said, Ma, you should think about selling insurance. I wasn't interested in going back into the financial field. It took me 9 times to pass that test. Right about 9 times. But I passed that test. And I got my license. He would not let me give up. And I traveled over Georgia's highways and got a license in Michigan. I traveled over the highways to care for the 2 that I birthed and for the ones that I helped to raise. Oh, yes. Sometimes people will get mad at me not for giving up. Did you know folks can get mad at you for not giving up? It's the craziest thing in the world to me that somebody would get mad at you for not giving up. But my mind was on that woman or that man that want to give up. We can't always talk to you ice cream and cake. We got to tell you the hard with the good with the bad to let you know. Some of us have gone through. I'm not the only person that have gone through. But you can make it if you try. You don't have to lower your standards. And one thing that I don't care for someone to help me to take advantage of me. I don't care for somebody to help me to be a crutch under them when I'm already going through myself. But to whoever that mother is that I'm talking to, there was a time I couldn't get a job. I went back to school. I went back to school at 57 years old and got what I didn't get when I was 19. I got my BS degree. And to let you know just how good God is and has been to me. You remember that hotel I told you I slept in my car overnight? I oftentimes ask God, why me? That same hotel that I slept in my car and remained faithful. God gave me a job across the street years later in the Douglas County Sheriff Department. God did it. He didn't finish there. He turned around. I am not the supervisor over the Lithia Springs precinct, but God put me over a law enforcement precinct. I do everything from that precinct. I do backgrounds, I do reports, I do newspaper reports. God did it. Jesus did it. Jesus wouldn't let me give up. You may say the sheriff hired you or his staff. Jesus did it. Jesus gave me favor. Jesus did it. The Lord brought me out. He brought me out all right. And I never had to lower my standards. I didn't have to lower my standards for the Lord to bring me out. I didn't have to hurt my children for the Lord to bring me out. I was the protector. I didn't have to hate their father for the Lord to bring me out. We are friends. Jesus did it. God can bring your mind out. God can keep you in perfect peace. I enjoyed that message this morning, Pastor. I enjoyed that message. Us women got to stand up and step up to the plate to also tell you you can make it. You're not me. And then on top of that, I was a mentor. I went through 12 steps. I went through Georgia Regional 9 years. I went through Fox Recovery Substance Abuse. I went to AA, Alcoholic Anonymous. I went through substance abuse, Al-Anon, went through YDC as a mentor to other women and men and children. Had one person slit his wrist, his pulse in the neck. It was 5 carotid pulse. Had another one that took a shot, a gun, shot itself in the mouth. I would take the young peoples to substance abuse with my own children as a mentor. I don't know how I became a mentor, but you can't get in those programs unless you were a reformed addict. Well, I never was an addict. I don't say that boastfully. I say that humbly because I wanted to drink. I wanted to take a drink. I never wanted to use no drugs. But they said if you drink, you will forget. My boys told me that ain't the truth, Ma. If you drink, you don't forget. But to those women, by my sitting as a mentor to others, God help me. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled. When I started out, it wasn't in a humbling way. And to those who humble themselves, I humbled myself to the will of the Lord. I didn't play in the church and out of the church. I didn't. Could have had just as many boyfriends in the church as out of the church. I didn't do that. God brought me out. Those who humble themselves will be exalted. God gave me that job in the courtroom. God gave me that job in the sheriff department. God did it. I didn't do it. God gave me this job up and down this highway. God did it. And I love it when I'm coming up because I see so many of our Douglas County sheriffs on the road, out on the sides. I feel safe. I do. Don't give up. Don't give in. Don't stoop to anything. Don't stoop to anything. God is able to keep you from falling and to present you. Those who humble themselves will be exalted. God got a job for you. God got a place for you to live in. To that lady or that man that may have had to do like I did one time, sleep in your car, humble yourself. God has a place. Don't curse those that made it over and still making it over, because I'm still going through. I still go through. If you ever hear me in my car headed somewhere, you don't know what I'm doing. Somebody needs to be encouraged. Somebody needs to be encouraged to don't go off of that deep end. Don't pull that gun out. Don't hurt that child. Mothers, don't hurt your children. Fathers, don't hurt your children. As I end, it was very important for me that my children saw me, saw my life. I didn't just do anything and say, I'm grown. They have no voice. My children had a voice. They had a feeling. A feeling is a voice. A feeling is a voice. I just thought that I would sit and encourage someone to don't give up. To let you know, I've had a lot of money and I've had a little money. And by 1991, I had no money. I had no money. I'm ending. I was able to be, God sent me on I'm always on mission trips. God sent me to Michigan to go get a person out of a drug house. I ended up taking care of the lady that wrote almost every speech for the first black mayor in Michigan. Took care of her grandbaby. Y'all heard me. I told y'all it was civil rights. They drove me to Washington D.C. M Street at a hotel. I remember when they were building it on the marches in Washington. When I was there for the NAACP, when I was there with the SCLC. And I said, I'll never be able to stay in that hotel right there. The lady put me on the 11th floor with her grandbaby that was having 30 seizures a day to take care of that baby. Drove me up there. Had all the money in the world that we wanted. He had a cake that he just messed over, but they had that kind of money that they could have. My room overlooked Washington, D.C. and Pennsylvania Avenue. Never had to lower my standards. God sent me to get a family member from out of a mafia person's house. Smart, owns schools, rich, rich. Spent $27,000 to move her dad from one grave to another grave. The money was of nothing. God sent me there. I often ask, why God? Whenever I meet friends and whenever I work with people, I always remain a friend. That person comes see me every now and then just to hug and just to say, I just want to stop by and say hello. God said, go get them out of that house. Bring them home. Bring them home. I did. I did. Her son got shot in a mafia type killing. They were lined up on both sides of the street. This group shooting that group. This group after that group. They didn't know that the bullet had enlarged up under that whatever they wear to stop them. And when they got him to the hospital, the bullet had went under the skin, up under that vest, and he died. They didn't bring him into a church. They had a mafia type funeral with them lined up on this side and on that side. I wish I would have kept the pictures. God has taken me to some high places, but Jesus brought me out all right. Jesus did it. The person came out too. Then they drove me from Washington, D.C., where they had to go give an envelope for something. And they flew me back and flew me to Tulsa, Oklahoma to see my nephew and my niece. God has sent me into some places that I never had to lower a standard. Never had to give, and I never took no money wrong. Wrong or right. I earned everything I got. I had the Lord sent my way. But I remember he owns Bel Air Island or whatever the name of that island is in Michigan. Or his family owned it after he died. But she wrote every speech, every political speech. But maybe the Lord had me there for her before her death to see that she can change. To see that she can change. God has put me before a lot of places, y'all. But I never had to lower my standards. I never had to lower my belief in Christ. Jesus is a keeper. God can keep you from falling if you present yourself to the Lord. To the Lord. No, I'm not talking about being holier than thou. I'm talking about being honest and just being yourself and walking a clean life. Well, I gotta go now. I got a few minutes to get over to the district meeting. And I just thought that I would share to some of the ones that I've been ministering to. My videos ain't for the church folks. Yeah, because they got pastors. My videos are for my friends on the street. Mm-hmm. My videos are for people that I've ministered with that go through every day, that think you can't make it. Luke 14:11. Read it. If you give it up, God will be exalted in you. You just got to humble yourself. Yes, have to humble yourself. God can do anything but fail. I want you to have a wonderful rest of the Sunday day. And I hope that you listen to this video and hear that a lot of us have gone through. It was only by God's grace and mercy that we didn't fall. The easiest thing in the world it is for a woman to fall. Okay? It is easy for a woman to be branded. Okay? Don't let nobody brand your name. Don't stoop to anything. And you be blessed in the name of Jesus. Give up anything, but don't give up your mind. Give up everything, but don't lower your standards. Don't lower your standards. God is able to keep you from falling. I'm a living testimony. I'm a living, walking, breathing testimony.